Well, folks, here again for the weekly forecast. A fairly devastating week for portions of northeast Nebraska. Of course, we had the large tornado that hit Pilger, and then subsequently the next night we seen another large tornado near the Coleridge area. Very heavy rainfall. We had totals ranging in the extreme northeastern portion of the state between 5 and 9 inches in some of our isolated spots. Further southwest through central and south central Nebraska, general 1 to 2 inch rainfalls and more spottier rainfall to the southeast and to the west of this region. In fact, the driest area of the state overall was the Panhandle, where we just seen some scattered shower activity. Now, we did have a twin tornado system with this Pilger tornado, very rare circumstance where we had an individual cell that really had no competition from any other cells developing around it and was able to sustain itself for long-lived. And this was part of a larger scale complex that dropped tremendous volumes of precipitation across northwest Nebraska, or northwest Iowa, southeast South Dakota, and southwest Minnesota. And we had weekly totals approaching a foot in the Fall City area, and that's why we have all the flood warnings. Now, it does look like a little bit of a drier trend as we get into northeast Nebraska during this next 7-day period, and the heaviest of precipitation will remain south of us, but there is still opportunities for additional thunderstorm activity during this next 7-day period. So let's take a look at the upper air models and see what we may have in store. The thing I'll draw your attention to is that we do have a troughing pattern in the western United States, and the main flow is going to take most of the energy just to the immediately north of Nebraska. So for this afternoon, the best opportunity for thunderstorm activity will be across extreme north central northeast Nebraska, with lesser chances as you get toward the south. Now, this same troughing pattern is expected to move across the northern plains, and it will sag the front a little bit farther southward. So we may see some activity generating during the morning hours across southern Nebraska, and then most of eastern Nebraska does have a decent shot of precipitation, particularly as we get into Sunday afternoon, Sunday evening, and we will see some of that residual activity hanging into eastern Nebraska as we get into Monday. And notice this trough starts to strengthen, and it will strengthen even farther as it gets toward the Great Lakes, and that's going to push some cool air toward the south and to the west, and that will mean a cooling trend during the early part of the week, and some of that moisture will butt up against the Rockies, so we will see the chance for thunderstorm activity across the Panhandle in southeastern Nebraska, particularly as we get in the Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday time frame. So here you can see that the system is trying to push down, pushing that warmer air toward the southwest. This will be our main activity area for thunderstorm development. Some of this may creep into southeastern Nebraska. But as we get into Wednesday, we'll start to see that system moving toward the Great Lakes, and we'll start to see some warmer air trying to build back in. So our temperatures are going to move right back up to normal conditions as we get into Wednesday across western Nebraska. And as we get into Thursday, we'll really start to see this ridge pumping some warm air, and so everybody should be in the 90s. And would not be surprised, we'll see some upper 90s across southwest Nebraska with some isolated thunderstorms possible. And then that ridge is firmly in place as we get into Friday. We could be looking at mid to upper 90s consistently across southwest, maybe even some low 100-degree readings with a chance for scattered thunderstorm activity. So we look at the temperature forecast. We are looking for that chance of thunderstorms off and on during this period. The best activity will be basically across the southern and southeastern part of the state, lesser chances across the northeast. Now, as we look at the 8 to 14-day forecast, next Thursday to the following Tuesday, we see above normal temperatures taking hold across most of the northern plains, and precipitation is expected to be below normal. The new forecast for the summer months, July, August, and September, indicates colder than normal conditions and above normal moisture from the southwest to the northern plains.